Thank you, everybody. It's an amazing and tremendous joy for me to welcome all of you today over here. I'll tell you a little bit about my story, QuestionPro's journey, why we are here and what we do. I'll jump right into it. Originally, I'm from India. After high school, I didn't get into any of the big IITs. I really wanted to do computer science, and I landed up in Russia, actually, in Moscow. Don't ask me what I was doing there. Usually it's vodka and women, I guess, is probably the right answer. But then I landed up in Provo, Utah. So I did not get vodka and women in Provo, Utah. So I went to school there. I went to school at BYU, and then I left BYU. I landed up in Seattle, lived in Seattle for about 10 years, and then started QuestionPro in my garage in Seattle in 2005. I know a lot of folks from Seattle are here, and so all good companies get started in a garage, right? So that is my garage, and I started off, back then there was no AWS. You had to get your own T1 line. I assembled a couple of servers, and that's how we all got started in a garage. And I obviously knew how to write code, so I built the software. If some of the software doesn't work today, you can probably still blame me. I think some of the stuff is actually, using some of the code that I've written. And so, today we're in 12 different countries. We are constantly expanding. We have data centers in about 12 different markets, everywhere from Latin America to Brazil to, we just acquired a company in France. So we are expanding globally into every place possible. I think only China we've kind of left around. It's too complicated to go there. But other than that, we are in Japan. Obviously, all of Europe, we are there. So we've done globally well over all these years. 5.5 million surveys users, actually, people who have created surveys on our platform. 200 million surveys actually created, and over 10 billion responses that we've collected over the years. So actually, I have a quick detour over here. I have Ivana over here. She was one of my first clients, actually. I knew she was going to come today, so I had somebody look up her user ID. Her user ID is, I think, 5,300 and something. Today, obviously, we have 5 million plus users. So she was one of my very first clients, and she's here today. I'm so happy that you're here. Thank you. Obviously, we've started off as a survey platform. We've kind of expanded into a much larger subset of capabilities. And I'll talk a little bit about the capabilities that we really kind of lean into, right? So the primary one is, the first one I would say is market research and consumer insights, where we, both from a qual and a quant perspective, we want to solve that capability problem. So from a qual perspective, we acquired a company called Digsite a year and a half, 2 years ago, I think. And then obviously the qual platform has been with us for a long time. So we can do conjoint, max-diff, Garber-Granger, looping, branching, piping, extraction. All these capabilities are baked into the platform. And we've also expanded that platform to include audience, which is, it's a nicer word for sampling, I guess, from a market research perspective, and also communities for doing longitudinal studies. So these things kind of combine holistically, create a kind of amazing research kind of platform that kind of for a head of insights for a particular company, they can look at the breadth of all capabilities that they need, both from a qual and a quant perspective, as well as a repository perspective. So the way I think about this is we want to make sure that all the capabilities from a technical perspective and a technology perspective are available to a research team that enable them to do their job. The second piece of our business, as well as our bet, is really on CX. So where the primary thrust of the conversation is voice of the customer. That's kind of our core product. That includes that we've kind of surrounded up with the digital experience platform, which we call Intercept, which is collecting data through collecting data and behavioral data online. And then also about a year and a half, we acquired a company called SweetCX that does journey management. We believe that having the entire holistic picture from a customer, from a CX perspective, includes journey management as part of the ecosystem. So those are the capabilities that we kind of lean into with respect to CX. The third component of our business is really employee experience. So we lean into that with a core continuous listening product that is, again, anchored on surveys. And also, we've kind of bolted that on with an action management tool, because we strongly believe that just collecting data without actions is not going to really affect change. So we want to create tools and technology that actually drive change rather than just collect data. So that's kind of our fundamental ethos in terms of when we think about what to build, why we build something. So action planning is part of that. And we also kind of rounded that out with a 360 leadership evaluation tool for the HR buyer. And we've wrapped this whole thing with a business intelligence platform. So our vision is that you have experience that is coming from experiential data that's coming from customers, the market, and employees. So these are the three sources of experiential data that come in. And we kind of bring all of them together in a BI platform. And we've kind of enabled some AI tools on top of that. So we have a holistic view of your business that you look at it from, hey, how are my employees thinking? How are my customers thinking? How's the market thinking about these products? So that's the way we've thought about our platform. But kind of let's step back a little bit over here, right? So when we started off in 2005, we started off building tools to understand what people are doing, But today, with our technology, we can go a lot deeper, right? So we understand how people are thinking, how they are feeling. These are all possible today, right? And I'll show you some of the tools we've built to elicit that information, both from a qual, CX perspective. And that's kind of part of our evolution. But, the journey never stops for us, right? So we're technology guys, we're geeks in some way, shape, or form. And when we want everybody, our core mission is to enable all our customers. So everything we do, almost 90% of what we do is done using a point-and-click interface, right? So so if you want to get something done, you can do it yourself. For the most part, I call it self-service enablement. I strongly believe in this, that not everything you need to go out and have somebody do it for you. So you can get things done on your own. We're all, I'm a little bit of a hands-on kind of guy. We were trying to get the rickshaw into it today, and the rickshaw didn't start today. So I went and got a U-Haul, put the rickshaw in the U-Haul, brought it in here. So to me, like, getting stuff done with your hands is actually pretty important, getting stuff done. And I want to empower our customers to get the job done, rather than say, hey, give us more money to do it. 5% of what you guys ask for, we just can't do, using at least with a point-and-click interface. So for that, we have a custom delivery option. So where we either program it, we have a professional services team, and that's kind of our vision. And then the other 5% is we want to experiment, right? We are, this company, I'm not a market researcher, right? I'm a software developer. I stumbled into this business. Thank God for Provo and Utah, I guess. So that's why I stumbled into the business. But we strongly believe, at least I strongly believe, in co-creation with our customers, right? So a lot of our customers come to us and say, hey, we want to do this, and we kind of look at the problem and say, can we enable them? So those are some of the ways that we think about how we operate as a company. So I'll tell you 4 things from a large perspective, from a larger kind of stepping back. These are the 4 things that I want to talk about. Obviously, we want to talk about AI. If I didn't talk about AI, Coda will probably fire me anyway. So got to talk about it. But as we think about AI, really, I mean, one of the things my wife was telling me, right? We have 2 kids. We have a 16-year-old and 14-year-old. 2 girls. And she was like, these fuckers have it too easy. Simple. They just go to ChatGPT and steal and plagiarize every answer they want. We had to do it hard. Think about it, right? When we had to cheat, we had to go through all kinds of processes to cheat. They just go to ChatGPT and do it. But if you step back, jokes aside, but if you step back, what is AI all about? It's really about productivity, right? That's the way I look at it. Just like how cloud ushered in a massive gain in productivity, AI is a layer that is, again, a 10x productivity increase. What would take 1 minute to can be done in 1 second. So it's a 10x. In my mind, it's a 10x productivity increase. It also enables certain scenarios that we would have thought of, right? Like analyzing 700 comments and saying, what are the, is this particular issue in these comments or not? Just you can ask a question, is this particular issue relevant for this subset or not? Let's say you wanted to ask that question, right? So somebody gave you 7,000 comments and said, hey, is this particular issue with a service delivery, is that enabled on that comment or not? You could go today and say, through AI, say, look, analyze all these 700 comments, and then tell me which 15 comments have this issue. That's possible today. So these are unexpected insights. These are unexpected scenarios that can be enabled because of AI today. And I also believe AI is not something that we do separately, right? I believe that AI is integrated into the workflow of everything we do. That's the way it's going to be. It's not going to be some magical thing that sits on the side. It's part of our flow, right? Hey, you're analyzing data. AI will be almost like a co-pilot model. So that's our vision about how we will enable AI into all our tools. So it's not going to be something magical, a separate tool or a separate design system. It's part of our workflow, right? We are designing a survey. We'll help you design a survey. You're analyzing results. We'll help you analyze results. You're doing action planning. We'll help you come up with the baseline layer of action planning. You're designing a journey map. You're looking at a set of interview transcripts, and you're creating a journey map. We'll help you do that through AI. So it's the workflow. It's the workflow that happens, and you kind of, that's what I mean when I say seamless integration. So I do want to kind of, introduce two guys who are part of my team, part of our team, part of QuestionPro's team. Raj over here, Raj Sivasubramaniam, sorry man, Raj Sivasubramaniam. He came in from Airbnb and eBay, and he's done a ton of work in the journey management and journey mapping space. He leads our journey management business. And Sumer was at Nielsen. Interesting about Sumer, apart from the Nielsen stuff, which is cute, but he's actually a badass tennis player. He's ATP ranked, okay? So if you want to learn tennis, or if you want to play tennis also, you should talk to Sumer over here. So these guys over here are helping us build the next generation over here. Here's a quick tooling, an example I wanted to showcase, for example. So we have a tool called Insights Hub that collects not only the data, but all the insights from all the tools that we use. And then you can ask questions like, hey, have we done any research on Gen Z or whatever it is? And it can actually correctly point out, like, hey, you've done this project on this date on Gen Z. This would have never been, you'd be searching through Google Docs and searching through all kinds of your desktop and everything else. This is a great example of how Insights Hub is enabling and helping our clients just find the stuff that they already have, frankly, right? So that's the first set of kind of tool sets that we are building. Second part I want to talk about is storytelling, right? So if you think about it, we're here for actions. Stories are what drive change, right? If you think about it, just data does not drive change. We all know it. We've all been there, right? So because everybody's got data. There's data overload, and there are data silos everywhere. But storytelling is what drives change. And I'm strongly passionate about actually making the change, not just collecting data, but actually making the change. And for that, stories have to be told. And we, again, using OpenAI and ChatGPT and all these stuff, we can enable different kinds of stories. A good example is one of our clients. We kind of enable them. They do a ton of surveys. They do these surveys for PR purposes, realistically. And they can almost do 10 of them a week. And they produce stories out of these data. They run the survey and they say, these are stories. And we've enabled them to kind of not only the kinds of stories, but the tonality of the stories can also be determined. Do you want it extremely funny? Do you want it to be, what kind of tonality do you want to use for those stories can be done. So that's, again, a new concept where, again, it's about 10x productivity increase. So they can now say, look, we can produce the base layer of these stories automatically, and then they go edit it and kind of publish it going forward. A lot of this work has been done by Ken Peterson from Ipsos. He was my client, actually, way back when. I have a habit of actually hiring my clients somehow because they know me and I know them. So both Ken, actually, Sanya also was my client at Career Builder. So Sanya, she's obviously has a PhD in org psychology, and she's also our chief happiness officer, unofficial chief happiness officer within QuestionPro. And fun fact about about Ken. He's flown 2 million, is it 1 or 2 million miles? It's like insane. Insanely large number of miles that he's flown, and he's got a photo in an A380 cockpit, I guess. So once you do that, so you get that privilege. But going back to kind of tooling, QuestionPro BI is our kind of BI layer that I talked a little bit about, that that synthesizes data across all these different streams and channels, right? Not only your customer data, but also your market data, as well as your employee data. So this has been a huge time saver for a lot of clients. We've been beta testing it with about 5% of our clients have been starting to use this, and they've all given us tremendous feedback around the BI, around QuestionPro BI, and how much time and effort they were spending producing charts and graphs and reports, synthesizing data, and everything is done for you today, baked into the tooling itself. So that's kind of part of our vision. The third thing I want to talk today about a little bit is, traditional legacy thinking has been, hey, we do qual research, then we do quant research, right? I look at this as breadth and depth, right? So quantitative research gives you a lot of breadth. Depth is coming from qualitative research. That's the way. That's our positioning, and that's how we look at it. It's not you do one or the other. You do both, really. And if you think about it, most companies do both. One way, whether they admit it or not, they do it in some way, shape, or form. They do user interviews. They go deep diving into why something is working after they figure out that they have a problem. And sometimes it's the other way around. So we don't have to worry about, do you need depth or breadth? You actually need depth and breadth. That's the way we've thought about it. That was the big reason why we went out and acquired Digsite, which was a qualitative platform. We were pretty strong in quantitative, but we don't have qualitative kind of chops, if you will, inbuilt into our DNA. And that's kind of our vision, that we will, through that acquisition, through that process, we will continue our thinking in the qual side. Also, if you think about it, Journey Mapping is another company we bought. Journey Mapping is also qualitative research kind of modeling. So we believe that both these systems need to be in play for us, for our customers, to make better informed decisions. So obviously, as part of this, we have both Dan. Dan, you guys know, he's been here. He's been talking, and you'll know him even more. Today, Dan's been leading our, for the most part, he kind of leads our quantitative business, and Jill leads our qualitative research business. The interesting thing about Dan is that, he started Live with Dan, which is kind of a podcast, and he kind of got so enamored by it that he started doing his own, RV blog, which I absolutely love. I'm a little bit of an RVer, kind of closet RVer, I guess. A little bit of coconut action in me, but that's all right. So that's what you can. They're here. All of us are here today. If you have any questions, thoughts, comments, you should obviously go out and grab them. They'll be more than happy to talk to you. A good example of this kind of mixture of qual and quant is our kind of livecasting tool. Livecasting is where respondents at any point of time on the survey can use their phones to record themselves. Very similar to Instagram, TikTok, Reels, everything else. They can, as part of a survey, just like, hey, look, what do you think about this? They can inline through the survey, collect some very rich qualitative data, right? Okay, look, what do you think about it? Instead of just typing it in, push a button, record yourself, record something else, hit the submit button, and we get a 10-second, 15-second, 30-second, 1-minute clip of whatever the question is. And that gets, again, analyzed and processed and everything else. The fourth thing I want to talk about today is data quality, right? So we talked earlier on, like, garbage in, garbage out. So data quality is something that is extremely important and, frankly, like existential to us and all of us, really, in the research business, if you think about it. And data quality also starts with respondent experience. That's the way we think about it. Especially if you're in the CX business, you're surveying your customers. If that interface itself is not easy and fluid and inviting, then that itself becomes an issue. So we've invested quite a bit in terms of making sure all our interfaces work seamlessly on every form factor, whether it is desktop, whether it's mobile, including tablets and mobile. So we have kind of invested quite a bit, and visually appealing. So So it's not just kind of like, look, choose this. No, it has to be visually appealing. We live in a visual world, obviously. You looked around it. Look around yourself, right? On LinkedIn and everywhere else, it's visual. Like the visual posts are the ones that make a difference. The second part is really fraud detection, and Tim over here has done a ton of work on fraud detection because fraud will kill our business. Simple, right? So if you're in the market research business and there's fraud in terms of who's collecting the data, the quality of the data, that is extremely important. We've invested a ton of work on analyzing bot firms, analyzing IP addresses, having IP address reputations, and say, hey, if people are coming from these IP addresses, we have our own reputation model for IP addresses, and so on. And the final thing is something super, like I said, 5% is always new. So we are thinking about synthetic data. And synthetic data is where you are kind of simulating respondents, not like real respondents, but simulating respondents, either using LLMs or other technology. We are simulating respondents and trying to look through that. And leading the charge over there, like I said, Tim, grab Tim if you want to talk about data quality, and he'll talk to you for the rest of the day. And fun fact about Tim, he's got a pet pig. You know what he calls it? Kevin Bacon. Funny, isn't it? So, and we have Chris. I have a deep love affair with Chris. Chris and I have known each other for 15 years. We've not been able to work together for 15 years, but like all good things, keep trying till it works, right? And finally, Chris and I got together in the last month or so. But Chris has got he helped me build out, when I was starting out QuestionPro, he helped me build out the conjoint and the max-diff and the logit models for that. So he has been a dear friend of mine and a mentor in terms of data quality, data engineering, really, right? For me, at least. So he's right here, and he's obviously a good friend of mine, and he's going to do amazing things for us, especially in the synthetic data side, which is where both he and I are super passionate about that. And like I said, you can use synthetic. I mean, it's a pretty new concept. We are beta testing it. I would say alpha testing it, not even beta testing it. We are alpha testing it, where we are looking. We can take an existing data set with respondents who've taken a bunch of surveys and then simulate their behavior for future surveys, really, without actually asking them. Based on the respondents, based on the responses that they've given in the past. So think of it as like if you had a panel or a community, you've done 50, 100 surveys with each and every one of them. You can feed that data in, and then you can predict what they each at a respondent level, how each and every one of them would respond to a newer survey or a newer question. And then there's kind of degree of quality there. So this is what Chris is going to be working on with us to enable that. So, I mean, that's all. We've done all this stuff. We'll continue doing, but that's not the end, right? There's lots more to innovate, right? So, like I said, we are born out of co-creation. I happily will engage with anybody who's got new ideas on how we can improve, what we can do, newer ideas that we can push forward with. And so I invite you to grab me anytime and say, like, look, this is what we should do. These are the new things we can do together. And it's part of our offering. It's part of who we are, right? I mean, obviously we start off at a garage, so we know this. But why do we do this? Why are we here? Right? If you think about it, back in 2005 when we all started, we had some semblance of understanding our customers, understanding behavior. We knew why people were doing things. But today, we can find out how people feel, how people think, what they want, how are they experiencing things. We can get all this information, right? So we have a much better understanding. That's why we are here. I'll tell you why I'm here. I'm here for a better experience. I'm here for an experience with you, right? I want to be with you, right? And that's the reason why we are doing, because we want to enable better experiences for everybody, including us, including you, so that we want to create an amazing experience for you today and build real connections with everybody over here. That's one of the things. This is not a sales pitch. We are never going to sell you anything today, although if you want to buy, we'll sell it. But what I really, really like, I told my team earlier on, and we do these conferences everywhere, like this is about connecting people together and building real connections over here. That's what I really want, and educating and learning. And we are learning from you. It's not about us coming here and saying, hey, this is what we know. This is what we are doing today. But what are we going to do tomorrow? It'll come from you. It'll come from a lot of you. And I have already talked to a lot of folks over here that have given me great ideas, not only me, but our team. And we'll all build on this together. With that, thank you so much, and welcome to XDay today.